Batman, Arkham Asylum Part 2, Welcome to the Madhouse. It was early March 2019 in Gotham City, New Jersey. Batman had just got done apprehending the Joker from taking City Hall hostage, and he decided to drive the Joker back himself to Arkham Asylum. Well, it was 7 p.m., it was dark, lightning was crashing, and the rain was falling hard as the Batmobile passes by several police cars. And inside the police cars, the radio chimes with the notification.
Attention all units, be advised. Joker has been apprehended and is being transported back to Arkham Asylum.
Inside the Batmobile, the Batman was motionless, staring out at the window as he was driving through the bridge that connected downtown Gotham Island to Arkham Island. And the Joker, of course, was just babbling on and rambling and just acting like a madman that he is. Well, finally, they crossed the bridge as the Batmobile speeds through into the main gateway and it parks in front of the intensive treatment building. He gets out, takes the Joker with him, and makes it to the front entrance of the intensive treatment building. A scanning light scans them, and the door opens up to the intensive treatment building. After the door opens, Batman drags the Joker in and throws him to the ground. There were armed guards there, and standing there too was Warden Quincy Sharp, a middle-aged heavyset man with white curly hair and round glasses. He had his cane with him, and he looks at the Joker, and the Joker says,
"Hey Sharpie, I like what you did with the place."
Quincy Sharp responds back to the Joker, "That's Warden Sharp to you, Mr. Joker." And then he calls Frank Bowles over, and he says, "Mr. Bowles." Frank Bowles, a man in his mid-30s, comes up, and he says, "Yes, Warden." Then Sharp says, "Take away the Joker." Then Bowles said, "Yes, sir." And as Frank Bowles walks over to grab the Joker says to Frank,
"Hey Frankie, how's the wife and kids doing?"
Frank Bowles grabs the Joker by the throat and he says, "Shut up, clown. There's a lot of people who want to talk to you here." He drags the Joker over to the upright gurney and straps him in. And then Warden Sharp says, "Get that filthy degenerate out of here." And then the Batman says to the Warden,
"Something's not right. I'm going in there to accompany them."
As they were wheeling the Joker down the hall, then the Joker just let out a maniacal laughter. As they walk down the hallway, Batman notices outside the long tube on the other hallway there were the Blackgate prisoners, more than likely being housed here from the fire. And one of the guards says, "Man, look at that, Batman. If this night couldn't get any worse, the weather's crappy outside, we got the Joker back in here, and we got 30 Blackgate inmates in here." The Batman thought to himself, "This is very troubling. I have such a bad feeling myself," he says in his mind, as he was walking down the hall with the rest of the security team pushing the Joker. Then the Batman hears a chime that rung throughout the entire area. Suddenly, the image of the Warden appears on all the screens around the hallway, and he was giving some sort of lecture. These were pre-recorded lectures that played throughout the entire asylum at certain intervals through the day and night. Then they reached the massive metal detector machine as it began sweeping through, scanning everybody. As it scanned everybody, suddenly it stops at Batman, glows red, and lets out a beep. One of the security guards says, "That's not the Joker, sir. That's Batman." Then the Joker says to Batman,
Hey, Batsy, what are you smuggling in that utility belt of yours? Batarangs, bat bombs, bat ropes, bat snacks? You're not gonna share with a hungry friend?
Soon the team arrives to another door. There was a young male nurse, and he says, okay, fella, just give me a second to look over the patient. He goes around with his clipboard to look at the Joker, and he gives a quick, thorough physical look at the Joker, and he says, okay, laceration, probably 2 hours old. He checks that off and writes something on the clipboard. And when he went to look at the Joker again, the Joker made a sudden movement that frightened him and had the guards quickly point their guns at him. And then the Joker lets out another maniacal laughter. And the Joker says,
Hey, nurse, if you need to take a temperature, I'd be more than happy to drop down my pants.
The nurse then says, okay, he's good, take him away. Well, the massive door opens up, and they go out to a area where there's old elevators at. And then another guard standing there by one of the elevators says, wait a moment, fellas, we got another prisoner being brought up. Then they see the elevator coming up, and soon several armed guards come out of there, and they were pulling something on chains. And soon what they were pulling on chains comes out of the elevator. The chains were attached to a special shock collar around the neck of none other than Killer Croc. The man was a criminal who sold his body to science for money, and now was more reptile than man. As they were pulling him, he stops and begins sniffing at the air. And he turns and looks at Batman, and he says to Batman,
I've locked onto your scent, Batman. When I get my hands on you, I'm gonna make you the main course.
They activate the shock collar to get him under control, and he lets out a growl. And they took Killer Croc away, and the Joker says,
I hope you people fed him today. The last thing I need is him running around trying to eat me when he can't find old Batsy.
The security team wheels the Joker onto the elevator, and they start riding it up. As the elevator was riding up, the Joker then says,
So, what's on tonight's itinerary?
Frank Bowles says, shut up, clown. You killed 3 of my friends when you escaped here in January. The Joker lets out a big demonic smile. Suddenly the elevator shakes and the power goes out. Then everyone starts panicking and saying, oh god, the power's out, make sure the prisoner is secured. Suddenly, the power comes back on, the elevator starts working again, and everyone sees Batman had his right hand on the Joker's throat. Then he lets it go, and the Joker gave Batman a dirty look. And the display screens in the elevator start playing another message from Warden Sharp explaining the rules of the asylum. Soon the elevator stops, and they get out onto the extreme isolation floor. This is where the most dangerous patients are kept at. As soon as they arrive to the control room, suddenly one of the guards says, I'm sorry, Batman, this is as far as you go. We're worried that you might start to unsettle the more dangerous patients here. Batman looks to his left because he sees through his peripheral vision a familiar figure. It was Commissioner Gordon. And then Batman says,
Long night, Jim.
Commissioner Gordon says, ugh. First, the fire at Blackgate, then the Joker storms City Hall and takes the mayor hostage, leaving me to juggle the police, the SWAT team, and the press, and you. Yeah, it's been a hell of a night, says the commissioner. And Batman says to the commissioner,
Hopefully, the last one we'll ever have with him.
As the Batman and the commissioner were walking and talking, unbeknownst to them, they were being watched in another security room, as we see a pair of small boots on the desk in front of the monitor that had the image of the Batman and the commissioner, and a female voice rings out, yeah, it's only getting started, you bozos. They soon take the Joker down to the awaiting capsule. Extreme isolation was very bizarre. It was a separate unit where all the dangerous criminals were isolated at. And the area that the Joker was in, along with Batman and the Commissioner, was more sort of like a semi-transportation tube system. They put the criminal inside, and then it's delivered to extreme isolation proper. As the guard and the doctor took the Joker down to the transportation way, an electric force field activates to prevent anyone from escaping. Anyone who touches that force field, which is just nothing but an electron beam, would get a very serious shock. Well, Batman and the Commissioner look out the window, and the Commissioner asks Batman, "So, feeling okay?" The Batman then says to the Commissioner,
No, I don't. He gave up too easy without a fight. That worries me.
After saying that, the Joker does the old fake fall trick. He falls to the ground. The guard says, "Come on, get up!" And as the Joker got back up, he quickly swung and hit the guard and put his cuffed hands around the guard and began strangling him. The doctor panics. Then Batman begins punching the reinforced glass. Thanks to the strength augmentation, he was starting to break through until he finally broke through the glass. Then Batman leaps through the window down to the transportation hub, and he runs after Joker, but the Joker quickly went through another door, and the electric force field activates, stopping Batman. The Joker turns around and mockingly says to Batman,
Welcome to the madhouse, Batsy. Don't worry, I thought about you. I want you to meet all my friends.
Then the Joker turns around and faces one in the camera, and he says to the camera,
Harley, let the party guest out.
The woman that was in the security room observing was Harley Quinn. She was filing her nails and wearing a sexy nurse outfit along with her usual white makeup and domino mask, and she says, "Okay, Mr. J," and she takes a security card and swipes it through a card swiper on a computer. Suddenly the force field lets down and all the other prisoners that were awaiting transport come out and surround Batman. Then Batman jumps into action and starts fighting them off and beating them up. Afterwards, the Batman was triumphant, and the Joker deactivates the force field and Batman runs in after him. Well, the foot chase got to the extreme isolation containment cell that was suspended above a giant chasm. Then the Joker jumps on and he says,
Welcome to my party, Batsy, but unfortunately I can't attend to the guest of honor yet. But don't worry, Batman, I have a friend that you could play with.
The Joker taps on the roof of the containment cell and the metal door falls open. Soon, something emerged from that cell. It was human. Or maybe it was human once. It was around 10 or 11 foot tall. He was super muscular, but he was deformed too, as he had pieces of bone protruding out of his skin, and he was just a sight to behold. He was so scary, yet curious to wonder what the hell happened to him. Then he lets out a roar when he sees Batman. Batman looks dead into the creature's bizarre green eyes, and then it begins charging at Batman. Batman leaps out the way, and then it stopped, and then it begins to charge at Batman again, and then Batman again leaps out the way, but this time it has so much momentum that the monster hit the wall hard. It dazed the monster, but he quickly regained his composure and charged at Batman again. Batman knew it was suicide to try to attack that thing head on. There had to be some way to defeat it. And as the game of charging and dodging was continuing, suddenly the monster stopped and it began making another shrill scream, and the monster fell down dead, clutching his chest. The Joker looks at it with an upset look in his face and he says,
Oh my. Oh well. Note to self. Get more fit test subjects.
Batman runs over to the containment cell, but by the time he arrived there, the containment cell began moving while the Joker was on top of it, and the Joker says tauntingly to Batman,
Don't worry, Betsy. The night is still young, and I still have a lot in store in this party. Tonight is going to be the greatest party ever threw.
The Joker got away and Batman was angry. Well, he hears a security guard over the PA and he says, "Batman, come in here quickly." Batman runs over to a small security room that was there, and the guard there says, "Don't worry, Batman, I can call that thing back over here." Then the guard starts punching a few keys on the keyboard, and he says, "What the Sam hell?" Batman asks the guard,
What's going on?
and the guard says, "He's changed all the codes. We're locked out. I can't call back the containment cell. This is not good." Then the guard hears on his helmet radio, and he says to Batman, "Oh God, Batman, it seems the Joker let out all the crazies in the asylum and the Blackgate inmates, and now they are running loose and they found the armory. They've got weapons. Sounds like a massacre outside." Batman was about to say something before he was interrupted by the Joker coming on the computer screen, and he says to Batman,
Hello, Batman! Your old buddy the Joker here. I had an idea that you're gonna try to follow me and spoil my surprise I have for you, but just to keep you busy, I had the commissioner kidnapped.
and an image plays on the screen from a security camera. Frank Bowles was a traitor. He whips the commissioner over the head with a nightstick and then takes him away. The guard saw the same image and he says, "That traitorous son of a bitch, Frank Bowles, he's been working for the Joker the whole time." Then Batman gets on his communicator and says,
Oracle, the Joker's escaped and the Commissioner's been kidnapped by Frank Bowles. I need you to gain access to the Asylum security system and any blueprints on the Asylum.
and Oracle says, "It's going to take me a while, Batman, but as soon as I get everything, I'll contact you." And then the security guard says to Batman, "Batman, the security here is card swipe and biometric. And if Joker changed everything around, then the warden's fingerprint is the only one that could override everything. He has access to everything here." Then the guard goes on to explain to Batman, "Question is, where's the warden hiding out at?" Then Batman says to the guard,
Find yourself a safe place to stay at throughout this whole thing. I have a feeling it's going to be an all-nighter.
The guard says to Batman, "You don't have to tell me twice." So Batman made his way to an air vent. He pulls out the grating and he crawls through the air vent. He comes out the other side, where several loose patients and Blackgate inmates attack him. Batman makes short work of them. Then he runs up to another group of Blackgate inmates attacking a guard. Batman sneaks up and butts their head together, knocking them out cold. The guard says, "Oh, thank you, Batman, thank you." Then he hears on his radio,
Warning, warning, all security personnel. Warning, warning, all security personnel. Hostage situation at the shock therapy room. I repeat, hostage situation at the shock therapy room. Mr. Zaz has several guards and nurses at knife point.
The guard says to Batman, "Oh God, Batman, that's not good. You know that Victor Zaz will kill them." The Batman looks at the guard and then runs off to stop Zaz. And the guard screams at Batman as he was running off, "Hurry, Batman, you know that Zaz will kill them." As Batman was running, he knew in his mind that Zaz was going to kill all the hostages. Victor Zaz was one of the most nefarious serial killers to ever exist. Batman never forgets the night that he caught Victor Zaz after a killing spree that left 17 dead in one night. The Batman's always contemplating accidentally killing Zaz, but he always held himself back for some strange reason. Well, finally, he made it to the shock therapy room, where a guard on the balcony says, "Oh, thank God you're here, Batman. Victor Zaz has got several hostages down there, and he's armed with a scalpel." Batman looks over the balcony and sees Victor Zaz with a scalpel as the security guards and the nurses were huddled together in terror. And Victor Zaz himself was half naked, only with an underwear on. His entire body was visible, and you could clearly see the tally marks carved throughout his body, representing the number of people he's killed over the years. And he starts screaming, Okay, if I see anything that resembles a bat, I'm gonna start carving. Batman knew he had to be quick and stealthy in taking out Zsasz, and he had plenty of experience in doing that. As the guard says to Batman, "How are you going to take out Zsasz?" The guard turns around to look at Batman. Batman was gone, and he says, "What?" Well, finally, Batman was in the other end of the balcony. He gets on top of the railing, and he glides down. As he was gliding down, he kicks Zsasz, knocking him out cold. Afterwards, the hostages all unhuddled from each other and were thankful for Batman. The guards quickly subdued the unconscious Zsasz and secured him. Suddenly, on the display screens, Harley Quinn appears and says, "Oh, Batsy! Hey, Batsy! Well, Joker's throwing a big party and you're the guest of honor." Then she says, "Oh, you probably wonder what happened to the warden, right? Well, here he is." And then Harley pulls a chair and the warden was tied to it, and the warden says to her, "You filthy degenerate whore." And then Harley hits him with his cane in his gut, and he lets out a shrill "Ugh!" And she says, "Well, Batsy, now that we got the warden, now we can really get this party started. We let out all the inmates. We're running this place now." And she says, "Bye-bye, Batsy." Then she uses the warden's cane and hits the camera, and the image goes snow. Then Batman says aloud,
Great.
Then Batman left the shock therapy room. As he left the shock therapy room, he saw many guards laying around dead. Eventually, Batman made his way back to the extreme isolation transportation area, and he arrived to where the commissioner was abducted at. And Batman quickly activates detective mode, and he finds Frank Bowles' flask on the ground. It had spilt its content of whiskey. Batman then activates the FLIR filter in his detective mode. Now he could see the alcohol vapor trails via infrared and augmented reality. Then Batman begins following the vapor trail. As he follows the vapor trail, it eventually leads him to the front reception area of intensive treatment. And there, with the aid of detective mode, he was able to see the skeleton of 3 of the Joker's men wandering around, keeping guard, and they're all armed with assault rifles. Batman quickly grapples up to the gargoyle and begins taking them down one by one, stealthily, without them knowing. And then Joker comes over the PA and says,
Batman, you took down all my guys. Well, don't worry, I got more of my guys coming to keep you company.
Soon, more men come into the room, and Batman repeats the process of taking them down one by one, stealthily. And then, after he was done, he climbs up the ladder to the front entrance, and there he was, Frank Bowles, on the upright gurney, tied up, dead, with a giant sign on him that said "Dead End," and a giant green grin painted on his face, and several chattering teeth chattering all over the ground around him. Then Batman gets on the communicator to Oracle and he says,
Oracle, I found Frank Bowles and he's dead. No doubt, the Joker repaid him the way he repays everybody. Do you have any luck in finding the commissioner?
She says, "Negative, Batman. I'm still trying to break into the main security feed. Don't worry, I'm almost there," she says to Batman. Then Batman says,
Okay.
Batman climbs down the ladder, and then he sees another door opening, and he was ready to fight, but it was a security guard, and says, "Oh, thank you, God, Batman. You saved me." And then he tells Batman the whole situation, on how Frank Bowles betrayed them and killed everybody, and how he was forced to hide in here and look through the security monitors, helpless to do anything about it. Then Batman asks the guard,
Was he alone?
The guard says, no, he wasn't. He had the commissioner with him, and several Blackgate inmates, and there was another person with him, Harley Quinn. And then, well, they killed him. Then Batman says,
It doesn't surprise me.
And then Batman says to the guard,
Find some place safe and secure. I have a feeling it's going to be a very long night.
So eventually, Batman exited intensive treatment through an alternate exit via the AC and heating ducts. He crawled through the ducts until he emerged outside, and finally he emerges by the rock face that faced Arkham Mansion and the greenhouse, giving him a very splendid panoramic view of the main facility of the asylum and Gotham City in the background, along with a bright full moon that was emerging from the storm clouds. And Batman lets out a loud sigh and says,
It begins. This is going to be a very long and challenging night.
Indeed, listener, it's going to be a very long and challenging night for our friend the Batman. Like and subscribe. The end.